Well, I know you were hoping for part 3 of the punch press saga, but I don't have all the parts. There were comments on part 2 that I should have kept going and finished it off right then. Made a longer video, but the problem was I didn't have the materials. But anyway, I went to the local steel scrapyard that I shop at, and what do you know? They don't usually have 1-inch plate hanging around, but I got a piece there. Then I went back looking for some solid steel bar, and wouldn't you know, they had a weight machine from a gym that was all chopped up and disassembled, and I got some pretty good pieces that we're going to use on the project there. I'm still missing a few parts, and that's going to be next week's video as part 3 of the punch press. That'll be the finale. A lot of you folks know that I reproduce antique parts of various kinds, architectural features, pieces for 100-year-old cameras, whatever. A guy approached me. He's rehabbing a 100-year-old building, and they're going to keep the single pane windows, but the window latches, a couple of them are gone, and one of them's broke. So I need to reproduce one of these. All these are in place except one that's missing. And I also need to make one of these. Now this one's broken. It's missing a piece. When you pull on this lever, it's supposed to pull a spring-loaded bolt down into that cavity, and that bolt is what engages this latch. So that's today's project. We'll grab the low-hanging fruit first by cutting out this plate. We'll just scribe the pattern onto a piece of steel and then cut it out. Then we'll come in with a transfer punch to locate those holes. As I always comment, the transfer punch is only for leaving an indicator mark. It is not a center punch. And I want to drill these holes first while this is still nice and big, easy to handle, hang on to. So I drilled a bunch of holes in the steel there to create the major portion of the rectangle area, then came back with the fret saw and cut out the bulk of the material. After that, I came in with a file and just filed it out to its rectangular shape. Something I just noticed, this side is 0.24 inches. This side is 0.29 inches. This was probably handmade in the same way I'm making this right now. Now this project proves once again that you can never tell what you're going to see on this channel. So if you hit that notification bell, you'll be sure to be notified every time I release something new. There's the rough cut. Now we'll contour the edges on the sanding belt and get it to look a little prettier. Then we'll bend it to the appropriate shape, because you'll notice there's definitely a shape going on. And there we go. That is a pretty reasonable facsimile. And here I'm using a scribe to trace the outline of the lever that pulls the spring-loaded bolt. That looks like it. We'll start by drilling a couple of holes. Now we'll dress that up with the file and make 2 more. And there we have the first one. Now I'll make 2 more. Now that I have the 2 handles for the new bolts made, I'll go ahead and move on to making the draw bolts. This one is missing the one that is supposed to be in it, so I'll just make 3 of those, and then the last step will be to make the bodies. Now that hole is 9/16, and this is a 9/16 bolt. It should be just enough. Now taking a look there, that That should be just enough. So what we'll do from here is we'll chuck this up in the drill press and file it down until it will fit through there. And actually the file's going to take too long, so I'm going to use the die grinder. So I have the bolt made and I put a little bevel on it. Now the next thing that has to happen is I need to get a spring on there to keep that held up, and then we'll punch a hole right through that cylinder, and that's where this will slide through. And when this pulls down, it will actuate the bolt. Okay, and by some stroke of luck I had a spring hanging around that was just about the right size. Now we need to punch a hole in here that this will pass through, so when you pull this down it will pull the bolt down. You can see I've center punched for 4 very small pilot holes. I'm going to go ahead and drill those, then connect them together by enlarging them. And here I've drilled the holes and I'm using a file to connect them together to make a single slot. Okay, so here's our replacement bolt, and let's put this thing together. And here it is completely back together and it is working. I'm going to cut that screw off and peen it over, and this will be done. Now I just have to build 2 more of these bodies. So I've repaired the husk of the one I had. Now I need to duplicate this. So moving right along, I have to fabricate this body and make 2 more of these. This one's cast iron. I'm not going to make it out of cast iron. I've got some black pipe here that just happens to fit. So we'll make the new body out of this black iron pipe. Anyway, I have my tube here and the bolt is a little bit loose inside it, so I think what I'm going to do is split this and weld it back together. That ought to tighten it up. Okay, here's what I've come up with. I've got my split tube that is shrunk down, and I've got these washers that I drilled holes in to fit the little plunger there. Now we're going to weld that washer onto the tube. So I've got my little barrels, and what I'm going to do is just weld some tabs onto them and recreate this functionally. It's not going to look the same, but it'll work the same. And unfortunately I can't do that this week because the Verge Center for the Arts here in Sacramento has accepted me as one of their artists, and we're having open studio this weekend and next weekend, and I need to prepare for those things. So the next video will show the completion of this project, and after that we'll get back to the hand punch press and finish that up. Anyway, thanks for stopping in. I'm happy to answer any questions in the doobly-doo below, so please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click up here to see my last video. Click over here to see something of mine YouTube thinks you'll like, and have a good one.